Hello everyone, I'm Rosphere, and in this video we're going to talk about Classic Burning Crusade and answer the question, does it suck? Now, before I get started, I'm doing a little fly-through of the scene that I've put together here for my character, just because I want to show it off and give you guys an idea of what I've been working on as far as making the channel better and adding some stuff to it. And there we go. So, alright, with that being said, gonna go ahead and play this video here. It's actually from Burning Crusade, however many years ago, 11, 12 years ago, something like that. This is actual Burning Crusade footage of Tempest Keep. So there's a lot of misconceptions going into classic Burning Crusade, and people are like, oh, it's so amazing. And honestly, I agree. Burning Crusade, best expansion that had ever been released. Nothing comes even close. Wrath of the Lich King is kind of second to it, but honestly, Burning Crusade, sadly, in my opinion, was the peak, the pinnacle of World of Warcraft, and it's not going to get much better than classic Burning Crusade. Now, going into classic Burning Crusade, there's a lot of misconceptions, and some of my friends are saying, "Oh, rogues are really good DPS. Paladins can actually be really good DPS because um, everybody's going to get Seal of Blood and all this other stuff." And it's like, okay, hold on, rogues are actually really not good melee DPS. I'm sorry, they're not. When you get into Black Temple, for example, warriors still pretty good melee DPS. They're the top melee DPS of the expansion still. They're not the top DPS. That's warlocks by far, right? So if you're going to be in a speed running guild, you're going to be stacking shitloads of warlocks, especially through Black Temple, and other classes don't really start to take over until Sunwell, and that's when hunters take the spot of warlocks, and warriors overtake warlocks as well. But with all that being said, rogue weapons, or sorry, warglaives are not rogue weapons for that reason. Rogues are not the best melee DPS. Warriors are. If you're giving it to a rogue, you're probably not, a high end like speed running guild. And honestly, like if you're going into Sunwell, you're probably not going to see too many warlocks at that point, other than the warlock tank. It's kind of cool because things change over time. It's not just warriors scale out of control the whole expansion. They do scale out of control because that's how warriors scale with rage. But uh, starting out, going up through Black Temple, warlocks are number one by far. And if you're in a speedrunning guild, you're just going to see people stacking warlocks. So yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions, and I know that people are disappointed to kind of hear that their class isn't going to be at the top. If you want to play a good DPS class going into Burning Crusade, you want to play one of three classes, and that's Warrior, Hunter, Warlock, right? Sunwell is a little bit different. You can play a Shaman because you need 6 shamans or 5 to 6 shamans to do Maru at a really, capable level, especially since they're saying that they're not going to release the nerfed versions of these bosses. All right, jumping into another fight here. This is Leotheris the Blind. The last one was Solarion in TK. This is Leotheris the Blind in Serpent Shrine Cavern. You can tell it's actual BC footage because the UI and resolution is currently melting your eyeballs. But besides that, another one of the changes that they're making, or talking about making, that I really hope that they don't bring to I'm stuttering, that they don't bring to the Burning Crusade, would be the change to the MMR system or ELO system in for arenas. Now, the reason I say that is because it, in my opinion, was very important to keep it the way it is, because even to today, season 2 of the arena, season 2, in at least from what I know, is considered by many people to be the hardest arena season to get Gladiator. Um, if you had the Merciless Gladiator title from that season, everybody knew that you were an absolute badass because very few people got it. It was a very difficult season, and I think it's important to keep that true to the way it was. And I do kind of like the change for having people, more than 3 people on your arena team. I don't really see a problem with that. I do hope that they stick to the ELO system. One thing that I am actually really kind of worried about is the Horde Alliance balance on servers, especially with the boost coming in. It's going to be very easy if you're on the unbalanced side of your server to just make a I guess, character transfer and either delete your main, keep it on the other server and then boost it on the server that goes forward. Just boost essentially a level 58 character so that you can have that character on the faction that is currently unbalanced, because there's no incentive for the players to work together anymore in Burning Crusade. There's no world buffs, for example, so you don't have to worry about dying while going into a raid or anything like that. So because of that, and the opposite faction not really being encouraged to kind of play nice and not incur the wrath of the other faction, uh, there's no incentive to work together in that capacity. So there's a huge issue with, and I'm saying this coming from the server that I'm on, Earth Fury. I was told specifically by one of the larger guilds on the other side. I'm not going to say which guild, but I was told specifically by one of the guild masters on the other side of one of the larger horde guilds that in Burning Crusade, the gloves are off. They're not, like, if they want something, they're going to take it. And essentially what that means is there's no incentive for them to let us, the Alliance, for example, have access to some of the daily quest areas. And reason why I say that is because if they can get their daily quest area stuff done faster, they can get the rewards faster, and they can do that better and more quickly by simply keeping the Alliance out, right? So PvP servers are going to be an absolute trash fest, especially if they're unbalanced. And I'm kind of worried about the boost making the unbalance of each server really, really, really bad. And honestly, I think it's a fear that is founded in reality, because it's just, why would you play on the side of the server that is just being trashed and making it unplayable when you could just boost a character to 58 and level to 70 and basically solve your problem? So I think that's a big issue. Blizzard to take a look at that boost and maybe think about taking it out. Although I don't think they will. They probably just want the money from it. All right, so making the swap to some more footage of TBC. This is the pre-Wrath of the Lich King event that I recorded on my Warrior, and it's some of my favorite footage from TBC. But with that being said, the last few things that I think are going to, or changes that they could look at for TBC, the classic TBC, I should say, is going from classic to TBC. They said they're not going to touch players' gold. I think that's actually really good that they don't touch players' gold. I don't think they should do that, because, as they said, people worked for that. You can't just take it away from them because they are at a certain level. That's kind of dumb. If they were going to do something like that, they should do something like what Final Fantasy did, where I don't know exactly how it worked, but I do know that they took a percentage of players' gold and cut that right off the top. So it didn't matter if you had 10 gold or if you had 10,000 gold, it was cut exactly the same. So yeah, that being said, I think that's the only way that they could do that so that it wouldn't feel terrible. But let's just say if you were saving for your flying mount and you had 5,000 gold and they cut your gold by a percentage of, like, say 70%, because there's some people with gold cap, well, those people with gold cap are now going to be able to afford their mount still, and you can't. And that's not fair. So they shouldn't touch gold. There's no reason to do that at this point. I don't think it's people are going to ruin the economy whether you touch the gold or not. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. And honestly, playing the auction house and stuff like that and the economy, in my opinion, isn't really important because it's my least favorite part of the game. I've never really enjoyed that. One other change that I'm actually really excited for is the pre-nerf version of the bosses. They used Maru as an example. They're going to use a sort of pre-nerf version of that, but not really. What they're going to do is essentially to use the nerfed version, like the semi-nerfed version that doesn't have as much spell pushback, which I guess is okay, because then you can bring mages, they said, as an example. But like I said before, mages are never really that good DPS in Burning Crusade. They're okay. They're not the worst, but they're definitely not the best. When you see in Sunwell, you're going to see mostly a lot of hunters. You're going to see a lot of hunter stacking, especially because of the legendary bow, but also hunter DPS is out of control by the time you get to Sunwell. Warrior DPS is really good. Rogues start to come up. Even paladins, I think, and this is actually kind of ridiculous. Ret paladins, when you get into Sunwell, do more DPS than mages. This is an actual true statement. I'm not kidding. I have footage of this. Paladins do more DPS than mages. Yes, I said it. Mages aren't good in TBC. They're really good in PvP. Not as good as Warlocks still. They're really good in PvP. But when it comes down to it, mages just, they fall off hard in TBC. And they come back really strong in Wrath, but honestly, TBC, they just don't quite cut it. And I know there's a lot of mages out there that are probably like, well, shit, I leveled a mage because it was easy. It's like, well, if you're looking for an easy way out, you can just still boost yourself. So, yeah, there's a lot of good changes coming to TBC Classic. Some changes I'm not quite sure about. We'll have to wait and see how they work out. But in the end, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'm okay with a lot of the stuff they did. They really listened to the community and what we wanted coming in, or going through, going through Classic World of Warcraft. The only issue is I think the players are going to kind of min-max the game to death. It's not going to be super fun. You're going to see a lot of Warlock stacking towards the beginning. You're going to see a lot of Hunter and Warrior stacking towards the end. It's just basically going to be Classic 2.0 without the world buffs, which also, thank God, I don't have to get another world buff ever again. Oh my God, I don't ever want to do, like, if they release new, like, fresh start Classic servers, please, for the love of God, just remove world buffs. That's all I have to say. Okay. With all that being said, Classic TBC, I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. Hope it doesn't suck. We'll have to update this video if it does. But yeah, I don't think it's going to. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next one.